Are we live? Promising. Hey. Oh yeah, that's good.
Yahoo.
Okay. Post this, like and repost
Where is it?
from Decontrol.
Oh, not.
Well, somebody yeah, somebody will retweet it from the. Be ready to go. All right. Okay, thanks everybody for coming down to EthVan here at Decontrol every Thursday at 6 p.m. Sorry about last week. A lot of us were just gone randomly for this event called EthDenver.
What
So-
is EthDenver?
What? Where is it?
What is EthDenver?
Oh, what is EthDenver? Yeah, that's
a good question.
it's a really good question. Really good question.
How
But,
do you define it?
I would define it as a conference that resides in Denver, Colorado, Americaland.
And it's about Ethereum.
Correct.
Crazy.
Yes.
However,
Is it though?
is it is the right answer?
It's not
you
just
know?
about a theory.
Yeah, there was some other notable.
It's
Groups there?
comprehensive and all-inclusive for all the activities happening in
Hey.
the blockchain.
Is
Thank
it
you.
like
Wow.
sponsored or like, have an endorsement from foundation or ETH Global or no, it's
Pork DAO.
Spork DAO. It's ETH is actually not sponsored by ETH Global. So it's a
Yeah.
separate event.
Yeah.
Yeah, by I think it's like a privately. Hello.
Keep going. We're
Oh,
Yeah.
it's working. All right. Yeah. I mean, I think it's hosted by like a private party, and somehow Spork DAO is a part of it.
maybe Spark DAO is the
But
private.
yeah, you have to
No, no,
make
no,
sure
so
that
like
you
so-
have one spork. You have to get one spork, and then you have to stake it in order to get a ticket. That's
Yeah.
what I.
Yeah, they make it really easy though. They're nice about it. You don't even have to like set up a wallet. or
Who here has gone through the process of joining Spork DAO and getting a ticket? All right.
anything. 3 of us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and me too.
Yeah.
I guess.
Well,
yeah,
let me
but-
walk you through it because it was super easy. So Spork DAO is a DAO, and you got to be a part of it. And if you're part of this DAO, you get free entry to Denver. That's kind of big incentive, right? In the
louder,
past,
little
there was
louder.
in the past there was a bunch of like stuff you need to do, but this year I actually tried to do it on the website. It was super simple. You go in, click create account. You can sign up with like an email. Super simple, and then I think you felt like maybe 1 or 2 forms about like who you are and what your name is and stuff. And then it automatically it creates a wallet for you. It gives you a single spork. It stakes it for you, and then it actually does the whole process. So it was maybe like 10 minutes end to end with zero, like super Web3 know-how. You can just kind of click a bunch of buttons and get in. So they've made onboarding very Web2, you would say.
So was that for the builder side, or was
It's
that
for everything.
that was
Yeah,
for-
that's
so
for
what
the main
was I
event.
doing then? Here
Yeah.
I am, like playing around with my old spork that I had staked,
mean,
sending spork
Tango,
to people.
Tango, you got tangled up as you usually do. So
What's a Spork?
I think Spork is their
Mm.
token. The token.
How much is it worth?
No,
a
Can I sell it?
fraction of a dollar.
that's a
Oh.
good question.
But tangential to the reduced barriers to entry was the turnout. How did you guys feel the turnout was relative to past years? And maybe what was the makeup of that turnout?
So one thing I felt was that this year's turnout was like a really good representation of what we're seeing on chain. Literally watching the main event, similar to mainnet, getting cannibalized by side events or L2s, as we would say. So when people were like, "Oh, it's dead. There's nothing happening on mainnet or on in the main venue. It's really dead. Nobody's here."
Mm.
However, there was like thousands of L2s or side events.
There were lots of side events.
Yeah.
But I did you go last year?
Yes.
I think the main event had a better turnout, both in terms of booths and attendance, than last year.
Could have. I mean, the booths were still like this year's booths were still pretty impressive.
Yeah,
I
that's
don't
what,
think there
that's
was
what I
any.
mean. That's
there
what
was
I mean.
definitely no shortage of marketing budget. That's
yeah,
for sure.
I think it was up from last year actually.
Yeah, it could have been.
Yeah.
But yeah, I really feel a lot of people in other event or like inside events, and the amount of people in Denver, and I mean, it was just nonstop for me. Like every 5 minutes, I'm running into somebody different, somebody new, and so
And
like I didn't feel that vibe of like,
Yeah.
oh, there's nobody here because I was constantly bombarded by whomever.
Has anybody else been to EthDenver? So EthDenver is pretty cool. There's the main event, which is sort of like, you go up to booths there and you talk to like a lot of like BD people and people who are trying to like onboard users. But the side events are really great because you can go there, you can connect with like founders, more technical people. It's kind of the places where people are trying to do more business and sort of get into more of the nitty gritty details. And the side events are kind of cool too because they're often held in very like swanky venues.
Yeah, and then also for EthDenver, there's kind of two parts to it. So there's the main booths, the main event from like I think Thursday until Sunday, 4 days. But there's something called Build Week, which is a week-long hackathon essentially that you have to apply for a different build pass, which is also super easy to fill out a form. You get to like do a bunch of hacking with other hackers.
Hackathons are great. Do you guys know how hackathons work there at these conferences? All right.
You should do it. Even if you don't build anything, you can just go and check out the vibe, which is
Well, no,
nice.
I mean the hackathons are really cool because that's where like projects are trying to onboard people to build on their ecosystems, which is kind of necessary because they need to have products there so they can attract liquidity and attract users and all that. So they provide a lot of incentives, and it kind of creates a really fun environment, especially for young people trying to get into Web3 space. That's where I sort of started my journey, was in a hackathon, actually in Portland. This year, I think like the biggest hackathon there was the Eigenlayer one, which was actually in our hotel, Jazzy.
Biggest on what metric?
Well, it was just the one that I saw. Like, well, maybe it was because it was my hotel.
I was at the
Well, most because I would walk into my hotel and see their flag every morning and every evening.
I think there was a lot. Nil had a hackathon, a hacker house. Monad had a hacker house. Story Protocol. Starknet had a hackathon thing. So a lot of different ecosystems are having their hackathons.
Which was your favorite hacker house that you were at?
What
Andrew?
about like
Don't
EF
lie.
having a
Don't
hacker
lie.
house?
Which
Did
we
they?
no, well,
EF?
did they?
Do
No,
they
no, I'm
ever,
saying
do they
just
ever do
Making
that?
stuff up?
I know what I'm saying. So like, we had all these hacker houses from all these like other chains. What about like a hacker house for Ethereum?
I think maybe ETH Build Week is the ETH.
It's the whole thing. It's not even
That's-
a
that's the-
house.
that's the
Those are
main
L2s,
thing.
sir. Those are L2s. The L1 has it. But which was your favorite? Your house. Which was your favorite house, Andrew?
I only went to the Monad one and the Starknet one. I guess the Polkadot one technically.
Oh,
So
which one
they
was your
technically,
favorite?
I
Well,
think,
that's quite a good survey there.
was.
What was the best of those three?
Starknet was really cool. It was at this hotel.
Starknet is cool.
and,
No, it is.
And all their
Starks are better than Snarks. Yes. Okay.
their projects are like trying to do very like worldly good things. There's like project trying to like solve like exchange problems for tourists in like these like second and third world countries, and all these like very like real
Right on.
world impact kind of stuff.
Right on.
Not sure why you need Starknet specifically. All of them are just like it's the place to be. So I don't know if they were just like farming hackathon incentive or not, but I saw a lot of really cool kind of like real good use case stuff there in Starknet hackathon. Monad was just really popular just because they're kind of a really up and coming chain. A lot of people were kind of building various DeFi protocols and derivatives and stuff on there.
Jamonad.
Jamonad,
Jamonad.
yes. This is a little Monad mascot. I'm not sure if he's a mascot, but he is.
It's a
Very
Molendak.
cute. Very
It's a
cute.
Molendak.
Is it Molendak? Is that what he is?
I don't know. I think
Alright,
that's what we're
well,
calling him. That's what we
Little
called him a
Monad
long
thing
time
up
ago.
there.
Whoever
And-
developed this at Monad did a great job. It's super
very,
soft
very
and
soft.
squishy. So shout outs to you.
And then Polkadot House, they weren't very like co-worky space. All the other ones are like very co-worky space, like big warehouse, and you make a bunch of tables, and like there's kind of a little bar there. You eat food, and you just like mainly hack. Polkadot House was like this big mansion that you just like partied and vibed at. And I guess there was some like hacking that happened on the
Is
side.
Polkadot the one that Steph likes? Is Polkadot the one that Steph likes? Is it? Okay.
I don't know, just Steph.
Is Polkadot still around?
They have the coolest house in my opinion. So
Did they have people working there?
a little bit? I kind of went mainly for like the late night events, the parties and the dancing. and
How was the food, by the way?
Fantastic, home
Yeah.
cooked food.
Yeah.
So it was just chefs.
Oh, did you go there after we went to Meow Wolf?
Yeah,
Oh,
I was there. I was there like
yeah,
all week.
yeah,
I was
yeah,
there.
yeah.
I'm very
Yeah,
much
yeah,
Polkadot
yeah,
pilled
that was
because
awesome.
like honestly the best. Like all
So were you saying that like Polkadot has PMF now.
Polkadot they might have found where they belong. Yes.
Polkadot has PMF and throwing events, is what I'm hearing.
Do you
Web
know if
zero.
Polkadot like is it EVM compatible or what?
Well, Polkadot has an EVM substrate you can use, but it's not like
Ah.
it's just like one of those, you
Moonbeam.
know.
Moonbeam.
Yeah, yeah.
Great fanny pack. Really nice fanny pack.
Yeah, great swag.
Yeah,
too.
so like Polkadot has the Moonbeam substrate.
Yeah.
that- Yeah.
I think they're bringing that's because you're not really supposed to build on the main Polkadot chain. You're supposed to like build all these parachains.
Parachain, yeah.
It's just like Cosmos Hub.
Yes, exactly. Yes.
But
They're
is it
moving-
like Cosmos Hub? Can you build like a parachain that's effectively kind of like an L1 as if you build your own L1 in the Cosmos SDK that just didn't interact with the Cosmos Hub?
Yeah. So
Ah,
like
okay.
a parachain is like a separate L1 that like
Ah.
plugs into this like whole ecosystem of parachains.
Oh, okay. How does bridging work in the Polygon parachain world?
What Polygon?
Sorry.
Polygon.
What are we talking about again?
Polkadot.
Polkadot. Yeah, sorry, I got confused. So many names out there.
How does bridging work? I
Yeah.
don't actually know.
Oh,
So-
okay.
So next week, March 12th, we are going to be having a Polkadot event here. So that'll be a fantastic time to learn about all of those things. Pizza and beer will be here March 12th. You just need to eat. No tech, just eating. All right, just a reminder for everybody that's here and listening at home. March 12th, we'll have a Polkadot event down here.
Is that Wednesday?
That is a Wednesday.
Yes, it is.
Does that work for you? That's your favorite day.
free dinner. Just eat dinner here.
Yeah, I'll be there by 9 p.m.
Alright,
We're also
alright.
doing.
We'll be
Are we
here.
doing another EthVan on Thursday or?
Of course.
Yeah, every Thursday.
Right on
Except
next
for
week.
last Thursday because we did
Yes.
one in Denver,
You did?
right? I don't know.
So what else are we going to talk about EthDenver? I feel like we've
AI.
AI.
Ecosystems.
Yeah, did you feel like AI was the big thing there? Is that what you felt was really?
So the question about like the attendance, I think maybe the like core Web3 kind of attendance was a little less this year than 2 years ago when I last went, but it was replaced by a bunch of Asians doing decentralized compute. Everyone is doing decentralized compute. Everyone's doing AI swarm stuff.
Yeah.
So
That's how you get the highest valuation right now from VCs.
yes, and every protocol, every single startup has rebranded. My favorite is Story Protocol, was an IP blockchain 2 years ago. Now they're an IP blockchain for AI agents.
Yeah, but it makes sense though. But it makes
For
sense. though.
AI agents,
Sure.
powered by AI agents. It's AI at
No,
every.
but there's a real use case there.
It
Of
there's
course.
a use case, but also AI.
Yeah, it's AI.
It is. Definitely.
So I think of a lot of the side events for me, like probably like a good like 30 to 40% of all the side events I signed up for was like some AI thing. So there's a lot of
All right.
excitement around there.
Were they real?
The marketers sounded very compelling.
I had a funny story. I invested in AI coin, just
Mm-hmm.
because there was a trend going on, and some of them turned out well, but one of them did not. And I actually happened to run into the founder on a hike, and I told him, and he was like, "Yo, I'm really sorry about what happened with the token." He's like, "Fuck, man." I'm like, "It's all good, man. It's all good."
Be like, where's my refund papers? Where do I sign?
He's like, "Yo," he's like, "We couldn't even invest, dude." And I'm like, "That's turned out really well for you."
Sorry, you couldn't invest in your own thing?
He could. I don't know. He said he couldn't. So I'm not sure why he mentioned that. It just made me feel worse about the situation. But he's a very nice guy. He's a very nice guy. They'll be very successful.
They
in the end.
generally are.
Yeah, it's just the cycle. People got really
Yeah,
excited
like
about AI.
they're nice. That's how you get your money. If they're mean, you won't give them money.
That's a good point. That's a good.
Well, AI is very frothy. As you all know, everyone's trying to raise $200 million on AI. I think there are some real use cases, though. I think one of the like main, at least from like a user problem solving kind of thing, is like being able to do DeFi or Web3 things, natural language. Just like open up your wallet and say, "Hey, can you then like invest 100 Bitcoin for whatever it is?" And it'll just kind of figure out the best yield opportunities and figure out how to bridge all the stuff. Kind of like the whole like user intent thing. And I saw a lot of parallels there with like user intent kind of like effort crypto.
Yeah, that's interesting because it's like a similar kind of like UX in a sense. Like you
Mhm.
sort of like put in like an objective and then be like, hey, solve for this. And in one case, you have a bunch of solvers that go out and do it. And in this case, solved by an agent, which is
Mhm.
kind of neat. Chatting with
So
some
yeah.
of the projects out there, they're starting to come to the realization that, hey, you can't just do this in like a one-shot prompt or something. We need to develop what's called AI workflows, which will probably be something that gets some excitement over the next.
AI frameworks and AI platforms, more
Yes.
evaluations,
Yes.
more multiples.
Yes. Yes.
So one thing, just back on the cannibalization of mainnet, aka the main event. I spoke with one of the organizers, Meltem. She's actually from Vancouver. Yes. So, anyways, I said like, okay, well, what I was asking if we're gonna, what can we do to try and like solve this problem? Like, could it be possible to have like a space for people to hold events at the main venue? And she said, actually, we trialed this and demoed it this year. Sorry, I think actually held an event, or a couple of people did. I can't remember if it was Sorry or maybe I'm just making that up. But there was an actual group that had put on a larger event at EthDenver, and I think that's
Is this like event composability or
event composability?
Modularity.
Modularity. But
Modularity?
we're doing it, but we're still doing it while it's like paying mainnet. It's still it's happening on mainnet, but it's like sharded
yeah,
or something.
yeah.
you
So
know?
so what happened with
So
that?
the idea, I think it went well. It's just they just like didn't. It wasn't a full rollout of it. It was just like a demo to see
Yeah.
like, hey, could this actually help? And I think if we can set up, like, I would do that, right? If I was going to host an
How
event,
did they delineate this sort of sub-event from the main event?
I don't know. I don't.
Interesting.
That's where I wanted to learn more about that. So we will get more into that. But like, if all you really need is just like a room or a space or whatever, just to be able to like get people together, get them excited, talk about, distribute your merch, do the same thing, have a little
Yeah.
catering, food, drinks, whatever, and just have a cool little spot there, because that's all you're really trying to do with a lot of this is just like get people together, get them to
Have a
like,
good time.
have a
share
good time.
Ideas.
share
Yeah.
ideas, because like that's all you do.
Because it's
You go-
important. It's important for us because we spend so much time, alone on the computer, chatting with people we work with
That's
through
right.
Discord,
we
living
need
in
to
the
do that in
Discord
real.
VR world.
Yeah, so
And
we
it's
want
nice
to
to have a chance to be in real life for a bit.
And
Yeah.
what would be ideal is, what's the best is like when you can go to a really expensive bar, pay a whole bunch of money to host this event, and like pay for all of the beverages and everything that everybody's super passionate about, and then yell at each other while we're playing really loud music from horrible
yeah.
DJs.
Yeah.
That's like one of my favorite things to do, and I love losing my voice all the time.
Yeah.
So-
Yeah. That
so-
said, there's a phase through the day. What you get at a different events through the day,
Yeah.
Like the morning events, it's like the VC brekkies. Those can be like really productive depending on what you're trying to do. Serious people, business minded, good breakfast. And then like lunch, midday is more talks, right?
Yeah. more
Sometimes you
talking.
can come across some really interesting talks. And then at the end of the day, it's a bit of a different experience, like what Tango's talking about,
Yeah.
which
All
is funny.
downhill. All downhill from here.
Which yeah,
So- Yeah, and I think if we can bring those events to the main, to the like,
yeah.
Yeah,
That's
we
a good question about sort of like the setup
Yeah.
for the main event, right?
Right.
It's like Denver is really cool. It's got this great sort of like a not a barnyard, but like what like it's
an
like
agriculture center.
it's an agriculture center.
Barnyard.
Agriplex.
Sorry.
It's an agriplex.
big agriculture center and the kind of slightly in the middle of nowhere.
At least the main
Right.
events in Rhino, River North, it used to be an industrial area, like big warehouses
Yeah.
and stuff, and now it's being gentrified. So that's why I think there's a lot of space for like hosting events. Why there's good
Mhm.
for
Okay, yeah.
because it's not like a city that's lived in. It's like industrial.
But it would be nice if like the venues where they do the side events was closer to the main event. And that's all I'm saying.
Actually, I went to NoirCon. So Aztec
Ooh.
is a privacy blockchain. They're releasing. They have their own DSL language called Noir, kind of like helps you write high-level code and goes down to like zero-knowledge circuits. They're about to launch their like Noir V1, and they hosted this NoirCon, like this day-long thing, and it was like from the main event, very well located.
Oh, nice.
So there are good hosting events. RealWorks is another one that's also pretty close to the main event, right?
Stand corrected.
Yeah, so I think
Yeah.
there are. You just gotta find the right ones.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Got it.
And I think even if we could have some sort of like standard, let's say, where it's like we want to keep things close to the main event, and so that people have realized like, okay, if you're gonna go further away, then like let's create something that you can do at the main event,
I mean,
right?
how far do you guys really travel? So like
Well,
Denver.
but it's not so much about like how far you're traveling. I guess it's part of it because you want to keep people at the event or keep them close to it. But I'm literally saying like let's not cannibalize it. Like let's keep things on mainnet. What can we do to keep on, rather than, even if it is way out of town or even if it's close by, we still have people that are like not going to the event.
Yeah.
And then like how do we keep that activity and that life and that everything that happens there, right?
Ja-
So
Jazzy, what do you know about Noir?
What do I know about language for zero knowledge on the Aztec
Rust-like.
Rust like.
Rust like?
Do you write circuits in it?
Well, you write there
In
in NOR, and that gets compiled into zero knowledge circuit.
Okay, so they make it more
It's-
accessible to
It's
write.
basically Cairo, but like Aztec version.
Oh, that's kind of exciting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, whether we on like keeping people on mainnet is like, what if we just don't have a mainnet? What if it's just only side events? What if it's only L2s and mainnet's
so
just
an
a base layer?
unconference. So we just like just rug base layer.
Yeah, no, like
and we
base
just say-
layer's there, but base layer's there only to like get people to agree
That's right.
on
The
like
settlement.
yeah, like this is the week where everyone will be here.
Yeah.
Then it's only side events there. There's no
Yeah.
like main conference since no one goes there either way.
I think you just need more interop between them, right? Like kind of in Cosmos or Polkadot kind of world, they have a native interop, and that's kind of a big thing that EVM is struggling with. Like, what if instead of everyone scootering around, and Ubers are rough because like after 6 o'clock and like during the main event, Ubers are like $500 to go like 10 minutes, and
Mhm.
traffic's crazy.
Gas prices, bro.
gas price, literally.
True.
So like, what if there was like shuttles that actually shuttled you across places, or like just more like legitimate infrastructure? More.
You
kind of
know who
proper
used to do
infrastructure?
events like that? Avalanche and Solana.
Yeah, tell us
That-
more.
Back in the FTX
Ooh.
days.
Oh, back in the
No,
good old days.
I'm
The good old
serious.
days.
I'm
Back in the
serious.
good
I'm
old
serious.
days.
Like Solana used to have the best events. They used to have like hired people who were really good looking, taking care of you. They had really good food. They had shuttles everywhere. It was like being at like a crypto resort or something.
I draw a lot of parallels to like music festivals. I did a lot of music festivals, and like in big, like massive music festivals, you have like multiple stages, up to like maybe 6 or 9 stages, but it's like all in this one location, and you kind of like walk around to each other, right?
Yeah.
So I think maybe like even if EthDenver can sanction certain spaces,
Ah,
or
but
certain
but
events
that's
more.
like funding, right? Like who's gonna fund that, and what's
Yes.
the
No, no,
ROI?
I mean, so you can have Ethan rather place where there is no place to host side events. You don't like you can just like ban L2s. Be
You
like
could,
you,
yeah.
you just do it in this area. There's nothing else to do, and everyone has to stay in this like 3
Oh,
hotels nearby.
we lost one.
Yeah.
Bye bye. Everyone has to stay in this area, and there is only this area to host everything. And then you can just force there to be no more L2s because there is no place to host an L2 because there is no interop in the first place.
Kind of scary when you think about what the power that ETH has, right? They just
Yeah.
stop all the L2s.
Yeah.
No more base.
Disable blobs, sorry.
Bye, Bobs.
No more call data.
No more call data. It's all over. New ETH leadership.
Mm-hmm. Yes. It's only the base layer.
Oh, there was a really interesting story that you were talking about. I think it was the opening ceremony. I don't know if that was.
Yeah, you want.
I mean, I don't know. You suggested that you wanted something to get into, so I just want to make sure you didn't miss it, because
All right. Well, I guess we're at that time. EthDenver, very official thing, and I think maybe in general, maybe before we start, how do you guys feel the kind of like PR, the kind of face, what kind of like vibe does EthDenver have this year compared to previous years? Right? Do you think it's moving more mainstream, more degenerate, more corporate, or etc.? Do you guys have how do you feel like EthDenver, the brand?
I mean, from my experience, I remember EthDenver from like 2020 when I was a hackathon participant. Like
this
from
guy's old, man.
I know, right? It's been a while. I mean, I don't know. Like, one, I didn't go to the main event, so I don't know how much hacking happened at the hackathon. But I don't know. Like, I didn't really see. Like usually after a conference, you see like a bunch of Twitter posts about like, we made this cool project at ETH Denver, and like this is what we did. I didn't really see a lot of that this year. There hasn't been like a lot of like new cool ideas or like cool experiments people did. So I feel like it did get like less builder focused than it was before.
Less builder
Huh?
focus.
less builder focused than it was
Tango?
before.
Branding.
Yeah, I'm not sure I have too strong of an opinion. It was the year of the regenerates, right? So trying to aim for how do we keep things sustainable and regenerized? Generized, is that's not a word at all. Just made that up on the spot. Quick, regenerized. All right, let's. Yeah,
It's a good one, no, for sure.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah, but I think like seeing, I don't know. I guess like just seeing like scalability solutions, like L2s. We're just seeing like L2s and other like projects that are doing like that's what I saw more of versus kind of like root core stuff, like kind of what Jazzy was talking about with like hacker people actually building. Here's more of our solution for problems that we don't really have anymore. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know that I have a really strong opinion from like your perspective.
Oh, that's
but-
interesting. Sure.
I think I agree with Jazzy. I think there was less hacking activity. Maybe that's partly of a function of the space maturing somewhat, and then also maybe less new and fresh ideas out there. I think succinct. I think SP1 is pretty cool. I would have liked to seen sort of like a hackathon or people starting to build on that. Sort of like general proving systems is cool.
I think they had a hacker
Oh.
house with Celestia.
Really?
It's the one we went to that night.
Oh,
But, like,
that boy who got the crab.
Yeah, where we got the crowd.
Yes.
Like there was supposed to be a hacker house for the 2 days before it.
Oh, that would have been a fun one to go to.
I don't know what. Yeah, I mean, I don't know anything else about it though. I only learned about it that night.
Yeah, I think they're doing a good job attracting smart people. When it comes to sort of like more like traditional institutions there, like I think you said more corporate was the word you used. Yeah, it didn't seem like there was a lot of that, which is kind of like a little surprising because we're starting to see, with regulatory changes, a lot more sort of like traditional financial institutions looking to get into crypto, maybe developing their own stable coins, allowing their users to sort of get DeFi access through that, and also looking to get exposure to like DeFi strategies like vaults and things like that. It's like really cool to think that like, traditional finance would want to get exposure to like the top Bybit traders like strategy, and it's like sort of like this idea of like, you're a Bybit trader, you're super successful, and then you kind of convert that into like this mini sort of hedge fund. And now you have a bridge and connection with the hedge fund or the traditional finance space. But that being said, there weren't a bunch of traditional finance guys out there or anything like that. So there's some of like the big VCs that are more like traditional, but yeah.
Yeah. Also, on the same point, I think there's a lot more DeSci and DePIN was two kind of like up and coming topics that you didn't really hear in previous years.
Yeah, can somebody explain DeSci? Like I've heard it a lot. I think I understand conceptually what they're getting at, and I think it's great in spirit. Is it kind of like
so it's like
Yep.
decentralized
Yep.
science.
Oh, okay. That's like
You do
The-
science
the
in a
one-
decentralized way.
The one example I saw was this guy who did weather maps, right? It was at the TrueBark event. So essentially, right now, if you can like buy a device, like put it on your roof, and it will essentially like look at the weather patterns or collect weather data, and essentially you can create like a weather map across the country from like centralized nodes throughout the thing, and they like reward you with a token, so you're like incentivized to do it, right?
I thought that's deepen though. Is it
Oh,
DeSci?
well,
That's
so I
deep
asked.
in, oh.
Well,
Yeah.
I asked him what his company, his weather company, and he says he aligns himself more on the DeSci side of things. So
Okay. So like he self identifies as DeSci, but
Yes.
like
so he's more about the use case
yes,
than sort of like
the
the
actual technology.
okay,
Yeah.
interesting. That's exciting.
I mean
But
the only the DeSci example I know is pump.science, which is pump.fun, but for
Oh, I saw that, and I looked at some of their experiments, and I sort of had trouble making sense of them. It was like,
yeah, so like it's basically pump.fun, but for
Uh-huh.
like doing science experiments. So like each group of researchers or like scientists launch a coin. They then market the coin.
I wish I ran into that guy too, so I could have told him how much money I lost on that.
It's great. It's just like here's this coin like tailored to this like research on this specific worm we're doing, and then they market the coin, people buy the coin, and then the funds from like people buying and selling the trading fees and like they own a part of the coin as well.
Yeah,
It goes to fund the researchers. So it's just like it's just like a decentralized funding mechanism for like degenerate researchers on
yeah.
chain.
The research seemed kind of degenerate. There's actually a really interesting research project that you told me about that involved racing of certain biological
This is
entities.
oh yes, is this appropriate for the stream?
I mean,
Okay,
It's in the name
okay.
of science. It's in the
Hamsters?
name of
All
science.
right.
So
So like, so the best project, like I've been to a lot of crypto conferences. This is like the best project I've heard in crypto in a while. It's called sperm racing. You race sperms. My friend is working with a bunch of like microbiologists who like 3D print like sperm racetracks. And then they have this like liquid where you can like isolate sperm from like an actual like sperm sample, and you can just race them together in this like way where you make them go in this direction. Then you can literally have like two different like sperm samples race each other and live stream it. Then you have sperm analytics and you can bet on it.
yeah,
Yes.
I mean, and you think about it, this can spawn a whole set
Whole-
of jobs and careers for people. Like there need to be people who support the athletes and help prepare them for the event. I mean,
Thank you. Yeah.
This
Sorry.
is this is
Sorry.
fluffers.
I-
Fluffers.
yeah,
Yeah,
like
yes,
this is like a new set of like sports that we didn't know existed. Like you know, like in the past 100 years, like no new games have been invented. This is like a new type of like sport that is currently being invented.
Logan Paul, Mike Tyson, sperm race.
well, there's actually who were they in discussions with? It's the guy who's like so focused on extending his life, Brian
Johnson. Yeah.
Brian Johnson. Yeah, I think they're actually chatting with him. So I mean, but it's starting with him is kind of a bad idea
No,
because
I don't
it's
think
like
starting
he's-
with him. Like,
Oh,
he's,
okay.
like he comes later.
Oh, he comes later.
He's
He's old. He's old. He's old.
yeah, yeah. I
Okay,
mean,
okay. Fair.
yeah, yeah. I mean, so their first race is between like a student from UT Austin and another UT from somewhere else near the area. Second one is the Stanford versus Berkeley.
Oh, I'm excited for that one. I can't wait to see that one, guys.
Everything happens in a microscope, which gets live streamed, and you can see the sperms like literally racing on the sperm racetrack. No. Like there's like end point. So like the start from this, they have to end up here. Huh? No.
No, it's a good question though.
Yeah.
Not
like,
yet.
that's-
Not for
yet.
now.
Mm.
Not for now. No, like there's a starting point where they like deploy the sperm, and there's like a finish line.
No, but it's
And
a good,
whoever reaches the finish line first wins.
It's a good question though because it's like I don't know. Somebody probably knows. It's like do sperm follow a random walk?
No,
Or-
sperms don't follow random walk. So
or-
like sperms they have this like special like directed thing they made which like attracts the sperm. So like there is a thing at the end. It's not an egg,
Oh.
but like it's just like some microbiology thing. I don't know how to.
I love to be in like the lab where they figured out how to attract them, and they're like, "Yes, I can finally make sperm racing a real thing." Yeah, look at them go.
It's this
So
like
no
like
humans.
it's this, huh?
So we're not creating humans at all here.
Not yet.
Not yet. We're not there.
Not yet,
okay.
no. But it's like he
Ouch.
was born out of race 273.
Like
yeah, that's
like
not
he was
Oh,
born
wow.
he was raised against like 6 different samples from
Right.
these people.
You're the-
and this one.
And you're the
I
champion.
want that one.
Exactly.
Yeah. So then, like, you could, if with the bet, like,
Mm.
how the gambling and the betting could work, like, maybe you could, like, bootstrap that kid's future.
Yes.
Yeah.
Hey? Right? And now you can, just kind of bring this in from the
Whoa, that's-
chat, just want to thank
10%
our.
of the pot goes to the kids' college fund.
There you go.
I
So
like
just
it.
thanking our, thankfully we have people who watch at home.
That's
and
actually
contribute to the
pretty
chat.
smart, actually.
Because now we've
Yeah.
got.
Jazz was right about this being.
Yeah. There you go. Yeah. Then you've got this fund
Yeah.
to keep you to really inspire you. And then if you
Sperm dot
don't
fun.
fulfill, then like the ESCO contract could like cheat, and then if you win, you get maybe bonuses, or you could get like multipliers. I don't know. We could really gamify this. I'm
Exactly,
pretty
like-
inspired. Pretty
like,
inspiring.
I'm bullish on sperm racing. I think this is the future
There we
of
go.
like
There we go.
sports.
Yeah.
No, like I'm telling you, this is like the best product I heard at EthDenver. Like this is like the perfect.
Can you drop the CA? Got a CA.
Not before I invest. I need to fill my bag
Fill
first.
and chill. Fill and chill. Oh
Yeah.
man.
Okay, but you were getting at something before.
All right. Well,
There's no dodging this one.
there's I guess
There's
I'm.
there's
So,
no dodging this.
I think it's great that talk about sperm racing, talk about DSI DPen. I think it's great that Web3 is coming more,
Generate.
less degenerate actually is what I would go for. But it was interesting. So Thursday night, I went to the official EthDenver opening party. So it was sponsored by EthDenver X, some club, and it was at one of the biggest clubs. I think it's called Temple in Denver. It was like 3 floors, had like multiple DJs and a bunch of different rooms. A very massive event. And around like 11 or 12 o'clock, at one of the stages, they had they had these like female dancers throughout the night. One of them came out, and she was completely nude except for a skin-colored thong, topless. She stood there with her face, hands covering her face, for maybe 5 minutes as people were taking pictures. Other lady came up with like a fluorescent paint on like a paint pad and just started like doing body painting. And then this lady would like get into different poses, and they were like continue painted. And for a nude painting, it was done very artistically, very professionally. But I think it was kind of weird to me just kind of seeing this happening at an official ETH sponsored event, and it kind of made me reflect on kind of like if this was at a lady rave, yeah, okay, yes, 100%. If this was at some more degenerate other thing where I'm glad that they exist and I respect it, but at EthDenver main event, this being a thing right now, it's kind of like branded on TikToks and on the Instagram posts as like thing happening X Denver. It's kind of interesting reflecting on kind of the direction of branding awareness of how the brand is going. I thought that was very interesting.
Is
Kind
this-
of.
No, no, like when you say interesting, is it good interesting or bad interesting?
That's a good question.
Well, I think I personally don't like it, but I also respect that I don't not authority on this thing.
You also
Does-
like naked women too.
I do also like naked
Yeah,
women,
so
right?
it's like
Fair,
it's a
fair.
conflict.
It is hard, and it was done very well, right? It's like I've never seen something like this done before, and I was like, yeah, that was cool. that I
Does
got to
this
see it.
fit into the infinite garden, and does this fit into subtraction? Maybe throw those
tell me more.
two pieces. into the-
Subtraction.
Huh?
Yeah, that's like the big part of the EF. It's like talking about subtraction.
What's
Like
subtraction?
slowly getting rid of things we don't
Oh,
need.
is that the is that?
subtraction? How do we? And then eventually,
Nice.
I
Yeah,
think
we're
the end goal
subtracting
of
a lot
the
from the
EF
price
is
of
to
ETH these days.
Yes, they have been tremendously.
There's a lot of subtraction from
A
the
lot
ETH
of
price.
a lot of subtraction from the
A
ETH
lot
price.
of red.
But also
subtraction.
infinite garden. Just think: is this something that would happen in the infinite garden?
Yeah.
Answer: yes, probably. In an infinite garden, you're definitely painting naked
Right.
women on
And
stage.
again, I like it.
with
I
fluorescent
love that
colors.
it's happening, and I would be totally okay with it happening at other events.
At a
It's just
Milady.
like, does it? Yeah, at a Milady event, but like, does it
But-
have to happen at a
It-
EthDenver event? Is that the right place?
It feels
for
a little off-brand. It feels a
does
little
feel
off-brand,
off-brand.
and I'm not sure it's entirely where I would expect it to
Right.
happen.
At least for the like type of EthDenver that I would want to go. And again, I went to the Bearer Rave.
Yeah.
That was super fun. I went to Milady. I went to Judos. I went to these other degenerate events. And, there was degenerate things happening there.
Yeah,
But that was expected. It was
Yeah.
because this was like the EthDenver opening party that I was like, took a moment. What we want. What we are trying to build.
it's a good question.
Think about it.
It's a good question.
Yeah, well, they were in suit. Oh, but yeah, I guess it was a pretty nice club. So, like, yeah, people were kind of dressed up. It was a pretty well dressed up place, right?
Was it like?
Yeah,
Did it feel like an Eyes Wide Shut type feel?
Yeah,
or?
yeah, it's a movie I was gonna say. It's a
there we
great
go,
movie,
there we go.
actually.
Great film. Great
Tom
film.
Cruise,
Stanley.
right?
Yeah, Stanley Kubrick.
Oh my God, so
beautiful,
good.
gorgeous.
Yeah, so good.
Nicole Kidman. Yeah,
Yep.
yeah.
Well, is
Spot on.
there what else should we touch on, guys, or should we start to?
Anyone? Does the crowd have any questions? Anything that they want to hear from panel?
But just kind of generally, like what is happening to the layer one? Are you worried about the layer one when all the action on the layer twos? Not the conference, but like the actual Ethereum.
I mean, I think subtraction is the first time I've heard the term in the context of Ethereum Foundation. I think that's a good move. I think there's a lot of really smart people there with a lot of really great ideas, and trying to figure out which direction to go when you have that is, of course, always a challenge. But they've built like a wonderful stack on which sort of like pretty much, anything that I interact with on chain is sort of like spawned from. So I'm ultimately hopeful that things are going to work out on Ethereum Foundation and Ethereum in general. I just think there's been a lot of FUD because it hasn't been, tracking the price of Bitcoin. But when you take a look at what people in the traditional finance space and what newcomers are getting involved in, I think they're loading up on Ethereum as well as Bitcoin. So
Yeah, I mean, I think like layer one has been cooking. The Pectra upgrade is coming out, and they have native account abstraction,
yeah,
which solves a lot of problems at the layer one level. Previously, when you were spending an ERC20, you would have to approve and then spend it. With native AA, you don't really have to do that, and it's coming at layer one as the first chain. So
question, Jazzy, is I understand it's sort of account abstraction, sort of like at the level that you mentioned, like
Mhm.
I don't have to approve transactions. Are there any implications for like infrastructure being built on the L1 of having account abstraction. I mean, I know that feels like a bit of a stretch, but I'm wondering if there might be something there beyond just like sort of that user experience.
I mean, I think like there is like when you say infrastructure, like implications of like, do we need more infrastructure, or like how would infrastructure scale with the new AI?
Let's say like does AA allow make it easier to build like DeFi protocols and projects? Does it have implications beyond just I don't have to do approve, I can anymore?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, basically, what it allows you to do is like previously, if you were to do any complex set of actions at the L1,
Yeah.
you have to do them each of them separately.
Yeah.
Now you can chain all of them together. So like it is just like a big UX improvement on just like general usability on Ethereum. It's like, hey, I need to do these 3 actions. I'm gonna have to send 3 transactions separately. I'm gonna withdraw my money from Aave, deposit to Compound, take a loan, and then put it on Gearbox. Previously, I would have to do all of them separately.
Yeah.
With native AA, you can do them at the like you can all do like you can do them in basically a single call. I think solves just a lot of like UX problems people had with Ethereum, and they would like make the tweets about like 6 steps to do like this one thing.
Yeah.
Now there's no more 6 steps. There's just one step. It also opens up avenues of like if you have like a custodial account, right? Previously, we would all use like multi-sigs as like I want to custody my accounts. Safes would have their modules, but now you can have a multi-sig at the native AA level. You can have a multi-sig as like an EOA. I think is
Oh, what? How does that? Because you can have like multiple EOAs within an EOA, or I'm not sure I follow.
And I mean, so basically at an EOA level, I mean, since you can deploy a contract, or you can basically have arbitrary logic at the EOA level, like any transaction that goes through the EOA has to go through this arbitrary logic, which means you can have the EOA verify like signatures from 3 different other keys that it doesn't actually own. You can almost have like a native multisig that goes through this EOA. So like, there's just like a lot of like small but unique use cases that people have been sleeping on because they're all like mad at Ethereum because the price has gone down. But I think they're cooking.
Awesome.
Do you think-
Anything else, guys?
Well, the other thing, like I would think about too, is we get these larger players. Like we're probably in a situation now where it's like kind of similar to Bitcoin, where we're seeing like institutions are coming to save our bags. Like, oh, hooray! And they finally showed up, and they're gonna pump the bags, and then we're gonna dump on institution instead of dump on retail this time. I feel like that could be the other thing that's literally that we're gonna have. These institutions, these large banks, these places that are literally going to come in and perform DeFi actions now that they have like literally like they're getting the green light in the U.S. as
Yeah.
far as like regulatory clarity. I mean, crime is now legal in the U.S. We just have like so much chatter about all of it. So that's kind of my thought. I don't know whether that's going to play out or maybe they're already in and they don't really care. The people who are in are already in. But I think with more clarity, more kind of guidance on how this all works, and perhaps, yeah, we're just going to see them come into DeFi, and like the liquidity for all of that is primarily on mainnet, and then the security aspect of it too, because you might be able to say, oh, well, there's this cheaper network over here or this cheaper layer that we can go to, but how does this work? Well, there's this optimistic setup or this other. Here's this other security trade-off. Well, fuck that. We don't care. Well, it's just, what's the difference? Well, there's better liquidity on mainnet and the fees are slightly higher. Well, how much? Well, it's going to cost us like $1 to do a swap. They're just going to look at people and say, like, that doesn't matter when we're pushing, 6-7-figure trades at a time, right? That just is cost of business and it's a write-off, whatever else. So that's why I think they're going to look at mainnet as a security, and that's where they're going to host everything, and that's where the liquidity is. That's my take. I mean, it's not my favorite that we're going to start seeing all these like big banks and institutions should that actually take place, but that could
Why
be the
isn't it?
catalyst.
Why don't you like it?
Well, I don't know. It's just like I want it to be for the degens.
Yeah, but this is what it was all about, right?
Yeah. Wow.
You know
I
what I
don't
mean?
know. Was
Like-
it? Was it all about the banks
I know,
coming
but
in
like
and running it?
we started out on this endeavor to kind of like make
to
finance
kind of like
democratize finance, and that necessarily includes those
It
participants as well.
Totally does. It totally
yeah,
does.
like
So-
I think the North Star was dumping on the banks.
If we can dump on banks, I'm stoked. That's we did it, I guess. But anyway, I just want to see. I like this like kind of more grassroots movement where it's like, obviously, it
I
needs
mean,
to
the
come
thing
from
that's kind of
somewhere.
nice about it, it sort of like amplifies the returns of sort of being involved in the grassroots side because now you can sort of have sort of access
Sure.
to massive amounts of liquidity and sort of like those provide the rails to get in touch with more retail and more users. And eventually those people some portion of them will come to the DGen side as well.
Right. What I'm concerned with
And-
is that you end up with things, like let's say WorldFi, right? Like that's a
Well, what's
permission.
Who?
There's nothing wrong with it. It's just that's where people
Wait,
flock
wait,
to then. So then we instead of it
What's
being like,
what's World Fi?
or what's Trump's thing?
World Financial.
World Liberty Financial.
World Liberty Financial.
World Liberty. Sorry, my bad. Missed
I
the
actually
Liberty in
think
there.
they're still doing their sale right now. So if you're interested, you might want
Ollie,
to buy.
how much did you own?
Talk about dumps.
But no, like where I'm getting is that there's going to be applications, or maybe we are even see other like chains or things where people are like, oh, you can use our products and our services, but it's like custodial through us or something like this. And I would prefer to see like how does this pump like Aave and Compound, and maybe there's a way to do that, right? Where it's like, hey, how do we have this goes
But I
into the
understand what you're
liquidity.
saying though. There's going to be some players who like win disproportionately, and some of them will probably be people who sort of like haven't been invested in the space as long as a lot of other people have.
Potentially, but it's
Yeah,
not so
I
much about
mean-
but it's not so much about like benefiting. It's more about like, does it actually benefit the entire ecosystem, right? Like we want to see like personally, I want to see if banks were to come in, or these large institutions, I want them to support the stuff that's already there. So like, are we going to continue to see them, leveraging the liquidity pools that
Well,
are
that's
in
what I'm saying. Like
existence?
some
Are
of that
there's,
will
like-
happen, but then there'll be cases where that's
Right.
not happening.
And
Right?
there's kind of where I'm like,
yeah.
I would love it if it was
Yeah,
if there
yeah.
was a way, like how do we make it so that, and maybe this goes back to our point of like, how do we make the main net actually more interesting for people to build on, where it's like, oh, this is actually better for us to do it here
Yeah.
versus like using our own things. I might be like talking about a bunch of hypotheticals and things that may not happen, but like those are my concerns. And if we come back, or if it ends up in the end of the day where it's like banks come in and are like, yeah, like let's use whatever XYZ DeFi protocol that's already there, and we're going to support it and leverage it because we like the code and we want to be a part of the system, then it makes sense.
Yeah,
But
I mean,
is that gonna
I
happen? I
feel a number of those players will want to go the route of building things up themselves,
What I think about it.
having more control.
Maybe, but just like supporting the protocol and supporting the things that are built on top of it. The network, like you're right. Yeah, if it's happening on chain, that's the next thing.
Wait, you're saying I can get 15% if I act now?
Well, what do I buy?
I mean, it can be a commodity, but I think like what people underestimate with like L2s versus L1 is like all the L2s are commodity, like they're equivalent to each other, but like all the L2s are like very commodified, but like the layer one has a security, like, and you can't really like commodify the security that the L1 brings. Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, you can have like all the people like use either the base layer, all the L2, and like if you have a lot more people using the L2, sure, like you can like business develop the L2 more. But like what I would assume a lot of banks and like actually a lot of money would want is like they would prefer like the security of their money over just like getting like cheaper transactions. Hmm?
Yeah, yeah. The banks don't. Yeah, but I mean, so you're saying like they would just make their own L2? Yeah. Which
Yeah,
then that's
but
kinda where I'm
then
getting
it's kind of interesting to think
If they're
about it
making
from
the
the
L2, why
perspective
don't they
of
just
like,
make their own L1?
but like, but
Hey.
it's interesting to think about. But
Is it?
but but banks are competitive and they want to go to market fast and they want to service customers. So if there's like a ready solution that offers a lot of security that they can leverage, that
Mhm.
allows them to facilitate easy stablecoin payments for their customers, I think it would be a lot of competitive pressure. Exactly, exactly. So
I also just want to add that we're talking about a lot of DeFi thing, but what's really exciting is that we're starting to see some non-DeFi things built in Web3. So like, Aztec with their whole like privacy chain, you can, at some point in the near future be able to prove your humanhood on chain in a trustless way. And that's a beautiful technology kind of plus. Story protocol, if they're
I love WorldCoin.
if every WorldCoin, well, they're called World now. They're just World.
Tango,
World.
there's lots of stuff you can prove on chain.
Yes.
Yep.
Like, and what are we getting at?
There was an idea that you raised at pizza the other night.
At pizza?
Yeah.
What we were putting on chain?
Story protocol is putting IP on chain,
forget.
and that's a
Right.
great thing, I think, as well, right? IP on chain, and then
Pizza?
going back to the AI saying everyone and their mom is making a decentralized AI swarm, and they all seem to also have an L1 as well to like kind of make the incentive thing. And ultimately, I don't think you can really compare the financial like rigidity of that chain to like Ethereum or Bitcoin. But I think that that's not the end goal. The end goal is to build a decentralized. It's like how can I host my model or like use AI that isn't from Gemini or OpenAI, and I think this is opening a lot of really kind of like in the ethos of Web3 of decentralization.
Yeah,
Transparency.
I think ultimately the thing
Really
that we've
good
been
stuff.
fantasizing for the past like 10 years or so of a decentralized world will happen. So yeah,
Small steps.
yeah, it's gonna happen. Yeah, because I don't think it has to do with like all like these human things and organizations and whatnot. I think it's fundamentally the way like information works. Yeah, yeah, I think that's yeah, exactly. Yeah.
All right. Anything else? Anybody else? Comments, questions, concerns before we head out?
Make sure to grab some swag.
Yeah,
on
we
your
got
way
a
out.
lot of stuff. Wow. you
Thanks
really,
so much
like,
for
put-
thanks so much for listening, guys. Really
I heard,
appreciate
I
it.
there's
Yeah,
probably a
thanks so
POAP here as well, Tangle. or
No, we didn't do the pull-up today. Sad times. Could
What
have had an
happened?
I just fell apart. I just got home yesterday.
Got my friend here the first time, and he can't get a POAP now.
You'll get my I'll give you my POAP. It says you met me. It really happened then. But yeah, we'll do. We'll get back on it next week. Let's get back on it. It was just like a little bit behind today.
Good to meet you.
Alrighty. Alrighty. Okay.
All right,
Yeah, hey,
thanks.
way to go. Good work. Good work. Okay. Thanks everybody for coming out. Yeah, we'll be back here next week. And reminder that Monday night is poetry night or open mic if you're interested in that. And then we've got Polkadot. Come see it. It's an interesting thing. And then Polkadot on Wednesday at 6:30. What are we doing? 6 o'clock.
We also have a bass. So if you guys
Oh.
play an instrument and you want to just jam down here, we have a drum set. We have guitars, pianos. If you want to just
Baby,
do
if
some,
you're watching, I love you.
you want to do
And that's
some
on
drum
Tuesday?
some jamming every other Tuesday. So every other Tuesday at this space.
Okay, so keep an eye out for that, and then and then we'll be back on Thursday for this again. Do we know who we have next week? Is Emma? No, we don't know.
Next week?
Yeah.
No idea. I
We have no
imagine
idea.
it'll be another one of these, but let's try and get somebody.
no. I think we actually have a couple people lined up. So, yeah, we'll keep you all posted. But okay, thanks everybody.